Impact Wrestling tonight. Usually, if I would say that we're going to have a World Championship match on Impact Wrestling, this would be very, very exciting, wouldn't it? Of course. But we see an Impact Wrestling World Championship match every week on Impact Wrestling recently due to Eddie Edwards' open challenge for the Impact Wrestling World Championship. So the fact that we're having one isn't the big deal. Well, the big deal here is that it's Eddie Edwards versus Eric Young for the Impact Wrestling World Championship. Big main event. Impact Wrestling televisions recently have been very big, whether it's Impact Emergence Night 1, whether it's Impact Emergence Night 2, whether it's the post-Slammiversary episode of Impact Wrestling. You can't miss an episode of Impact Wrestling right now. There is so much going on with the company, so much positive things going on, so much great storytelling and great content, and that continues this week with the Impact Wrestling World Championship main event. Eddie Edwards defending against Eric Young. Eric Young, hottest and biggest heel in the company right now. Eddie Edwards, a good world champion, babyface underneath champion. They've been building him up since Slammiversary. They've been building up and building to this match between Eddie Edwards and Eric Young ever since the post-Slammiversary episode of Impact Wrestling. So we're going to talk about Eric Young versus Eddie Edwards in this video, talk about the World Championship. What can we expect to happen tonight? What can we expect to see going forward? Are we going to see a World Championship change tonight? Obviously, there's factors and plans going into Bound for Glory in October, so there's a lot to talk about here. But before we get into that, let's have a quick word from a great supporter of WrestleNews 365. Support for WrestleNews 365 is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Now, Manscaped, for all of my UK fans out there, Manscaped just launched in the UK. Over here in the United Kingdom, we have gone for years and years and years without using the right tools for the job. But now you can be one of the first men in England to experience their life-changing product. But it's not just limited to all of the great fans over here in the UK. This offer goes worldwide, so all of my friends over in America and around the world that are listening to this offer still does apply for you. You can still use our code. But I've got to tell you a quick story first. Now, there have been so many times, right? I'm a guy. You gotta groom down there, fellas, right? That's the most important thing. You gotta keep yourself trimmed. You gotta keep yourself proper. And a lot of the time, I've been guilty of this, of using the wrong tools for the job. I've had incidences, I'm not afraid to say it, where things have been nicked, snagged, or in fact cut down there because I wasn't being careful enough and using the right equipment. And that just shouldn't happen. That shouldn't happen. You don't want to be worrying about cutting yourself down there. Do you know how painful that is? I can tell you, it hurts quite a lot. And I wish and hope to God it never happens to me again, and it won't happen to me ever again because I'm using Manscaped products. That's why Manscaped has redesigned the electric trimmer. The Manscaped engineering team has perfected the greatest ball hair trimmer ever created. Big statement, but it's absolutely true. They have just released the new and improved Lawnmower 3.0 in the UK. It's also available around the world as well. Their third generation trimmer features a cutting edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents. So those cuts and snags that I was telling you about before are a thing of the past. And let me tell you, when I tell you this is premium, I mean premium. The battery will last up to 90 minutes so you can get a longer, perfect shave. And not only that, you don't want to be cutting yourself and trimming yourself all over the bathroom, getting hair all over the place. That's just disgusting. The lawnmower has a waterproof technology that allows you to groom in the shower, so no more mess. And one of the coolest features, one of my favorite features about the lawnmower is the LED light which illuminates grooming areas for a closer and more precise trimming experience. So you can shave longer, you can shave more precisely, and you can shave in the shower. What more did I need to tell you? They've also upgraded to a 7,000 RPM motor with quiet stroke technology, and let's not forget about the charging stand. You can show off your mower loud and proud because this intelligently designed stand is a convenient charging dock powered by USB. So, if you are listening to me speak right now, I want you to experience it firsthand for yourself. Let's get that bush to tush clean, and you can get 20% off and free shipping. Yeah, you heard me right there. 20% off and free shipping. All you have to do is use the code 365wrestle at manscaped.com. Make your testes their besties. That's 20% off and free shipping. Not only are you getting 20% off, you're getting free shipping as well with the code 365wrestle at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com, and use the code 365wrestle. Your balls will thank you. So, Eddie Edwards versus Eric Young, Impact Wrestling World Championship. As I mentioned at the start of this video, it's been building for a very long time, this match, and we're finally going to get it tonight on Impact Wrestling. Eddie Edwards, ever since winning the Impact Wrestling World Championship at Slammiversary, has been doing the Open Challenge format, right? We've seen it in other companies and other promotions. Famously, John Cena, WWE United States Championship, Weekly Open Challenge, defended the US Championship on Raw and SmackDown. We've seen it in AEW with Cody when he was the TNT champion, Weekly TNT Championship Open Challenge, and Eddie Edwards has been doing the same with the Impact Wrestling World Championship. Now, I've mentioned this before, so I don't want to do too much of a deep dive into it, but I was very hesitant. When I saw that this was what they were going to be doing. Not the Eddie Edwards becoming world champion. I was behind that. I was hesitant about the Impact Wrestling World Championship every week. In my opinion, World Championship matches should be special. It shouldn't be a thing that you see on television every week. You can have the discussion, is it a thing you should be seeing on television at all? Should you save that for pay-per-views or special events? I don't mind having a World Championship match on TV once in a blue moon. But every week as an open challenge, that's not for me, and I still haven't warmed up to that idea. But the matches that we have seen Eddie Edwards have on Impact Wrestling, whether it's against Sami Callihan or RVD or others, I've enjoyed, and I think that's been good. Now, last week, I mentioned there Rob Van Dam. Last week, Eddie Edwards, during Night 2 of Impact Emergence, defended the World Championship against Rob Van Dam. I had expected the opponent for Night 2 of Impact Emergence for the Open Challenge to be Eric Young. I'd been saying that for a long time. It is the direction that they've been going in, and it's the direction that they continue to go in, obviously, after the match. They've been teasing it for weeks, ever since the post-Slammiversary episode of Impact, when Eddie Edwards announced the Impact Wrestling World Championship Open Challenge every week. Eddie Edwards refused to allow Eric Young a shot at the World Championship because of what Eric Young did to Rich Swann at Slammiversary, right? At Slammiversary, we had Eric Young returned to Impact Wrestling after he'd been released by WWE. But the World Championship match also featured the returning Rich Swann. Rich Swann had been out of action since January with a serious leg injury, ankle injury. He'd undergone 2 surgeries. He'd had screws, plates, everything you can imagine put into his ankle, and it was a miraculous return to the ring. Rich Swann eliminates Eric Young in the main event of Slammiversary for the world title. Eric Young goes insane, goes ballistic, attacks Rich Swann's surgically repaired ankle, attacks it with a steel chair, attacks it with the ring post. Then the following episode on Impact Wrestling, when Eddie Edwards is announcing this open challenge, Eric Young comes out and Eddie Edwards says, no, I'm not giving you a world championship shot. You viciously attacked this guy that just returned from injury. You're not deserving of a world championship shot. And Eric Young at the time says, well, we'll see about that. He's playing a game of chess, and he's played it to perfection. Now, he knew he had to get under Eddie Edwards' skin to allow him to compete for the World Championship. How does he do that? Well, a couple weeks later, Rich Swann makes an announcement on Impact Wrestling. He says, look, even before Eric Young attacked me, my doctors said to me, you should probably think about retiring. Are you ever going to walk again? Are you going to be able to provide for your family, your children? All of it. So the fact that he was able to come back the first time was miraculous. And then with Eric Young's attack, I can't do it anymore. So Rich Swann retires, cuts a great promo, an emotional promo. You have the whole Impact Wrestling roster come out and surround the ring. This includes the world champion Eddie Edwards. They're banging on the apron. They're cheering him off. Rich Swann gets out of the ring by the help of the likes of Eddie Edwards, which was a really nice touch as well. Rich Swann goes up the ramp, turns to wave goodbye to the Impact Zone one last time, and then who attacks him? Eric Young. He attacks him, hits his injured ankle with the crutch that Rich Swann had. It was just such a great angle. I've broken it down in depth on the channel, so be sure to check that out too. It was a fantastic angle. From the promo to the attack to the roster coming out to ringside, I thought it was brilliant. So fast forward to last week, I thought we were going to get Eric Young versus Eddie Edwards, Impact Emergence, big TV special. It would have made a lot of sense, a lot of eyeballs on the product during those specials, but it wasn't Eric Young, it was Rob Van Dam. He had Katie Forbes at ringside, of course. Fun match. Eddie Edwards gets the victory with the Boston Knee Party. RVD actually had most of the offense in the match, which I thought was quite interesting. And it's certainly, the match definitely, I've mentioned this quite a few times, that I think they're positioning Eddie Edwards as the Daniel Bryan style underdog underneath babyface, takes a lot of the offense and then gets the win at the end. And that match against RVD last week absolutely solidified that for me. But once the match is done and Eddie Edwards gets the victory, retains the Impact Wrestling World Championship, Eric Young attacks Eddie Edwards from behind. Eric Young announces that he's facing Eddie Edwards next week. He says this is all by design. I thought Eric Young, and I've heaped a lot of praise on Eric Young recently because I think physically he looks great. I think he's playing this character, the psycho madman, to absolute perfection. You look at Eric Young's career in Impact and just professional wrestling in general, Eric Young can do everything. He can do absolutely everything and anything. He can be a comical mid-card babyface. He can be a serious heel. He can be, again, like a Daniel Bryan style babyface. He can do absolutely anything. He can talk, he can work, he can adapt the way he looks and the way he talks into anything you want him to be. And in my opinion, Eric Young, if you look at all of those people that debuted at Slammiversary or returned, the likes of EC3, Heath, the Good Brothers, the Motor City Machine Guns 2, you add in Eric Young and you line all of those guys up, for me, Eric Young, he's just been the best out of everyone that returned or debuted at Slammiversary. And that includes stars like EC3, it really does. Because Eric Young has made the biggest impact out of all of them, pun intended, and I think he's just done fantastic. Now, at the time, when Eric Young last week said, I accept the challenge, I thought it was a bit odd, because a couple of weeks ago, you have an Eddie Edwards on Impact saying he's not allowing that to happen. But this is all part of the plan. This is all part of Eric Young's plan. He's got under the skin of Eddie Edwards, because after the match and after the beatdown, Eddie Edwards is searching around for Eric Young backstage. And then this was really great production, I thought, from Impact Wrestling. Then they put in the Bound for Glory promo, which has Eric Young all over it. It has Eric Young walking around in a prison. He's multiple people. He's an inmate. He's a guard. This advertisement, I've praised it to the moon and back, and I'll continue to do it right now, because the production here, it's a movie quality promo. It's really, really well shot. Sometimes the difference between a WWE and an Impact, or an AEW and an Impact, is production. Obviously, they don't have the same budget and they don't have the same facilities. But this was not be out of place, not even on WWE television. This wouldn't have been out of place just on a drama on TV anywhere. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. So there was a thought in my head at the time, look, Eric Young, he's the face of Bound for Glory in all of this promotion. Maybe he's facing Eddie Edwards at Bound for Glory and he's not facing Rich Swann, and this could be a way to milk the Rich Swann angle and have Swann return at Bound for Glory. Now, obviously, we know that's not the case now, but at the time, I think the important thing there is it shows what Impact thinks of Eric Young right now. They know that Eric Young is probably the hottest guy on the roster. His work is just superb. He's the one that people are talking about in Impact Wrestling right now. Eric Young has been that good. So they put that there. I thought that was very, very clever. Not just from the great production of the advertisement, but it continued the feud as we went into the commercial. I thought that was very smart. So after the break, Eddie Edwards comes out to the ring. He says that he knows Eric Young is trying to send a message. And now that, look, he has Eddie Edwards' attention now. He says, I wasn't going to give you the shot before, but I accept for next week. You have your title shot. And he calls him out here right now. He says, I want to do this right here, right now. Eddie Edwards, he is the underdog-style babyface, but he's the stupid babyface as well, because why on earth would you do that? You just had a World Championship match, but that's pro wrestling, I guess. If you're looking for logic in places where there is none, that's what happens. So out comes Eric Young, talks about playing checkers while he's playing chess. He's 5 steps ahead. He continued 2 different storylines right now. So he's getting under the skin of Eddie Edwards, but he's also continuing the storyline with Rich Swann. He says what happened to Rich Swann, it was an orchestrated act of violence. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't reckless. It wasn't me losing my head or anything like that. I planned that for a long, long time. He said he did all of it to get a shot at a world championship, and that's what he's going to get next week, just as he planned. So again, this was real great character development for Eric Young here, because you start seeing him more as, I think initially how it could have been positioned is, oh, Eric Young, he's just crazy, right? He's a crazy psycho madman. He's not in control. He doesn't know what he's doing. That isn't the case. He added this extra layer to his character here by basically saying, I'm not crazy. I'm not insane. This is all planned. And that for me elevates him to a next level. The greatest villains, and I compare this kind of style character to someone like the Joker, right? You look at Heath Ledger's Joker in The Dark Knight. Initially, you think this is just your run-of-the-mill villain. He's crazy, he's the Joker, he's a wacko, that's him. But then once you start to see that the Joker is actually thinking 4 or 5 steps ahead, he means to get arrested, he means to be sent to jail, and that's all part of the plan, you respect him and then you fear him even more. Because this guy's insane, but he's a genius as well. And those things mixed together are just, they're crazy. They're crazy. It adds an extra level to the character and an extra layer to the character. So I really enjoyed that promo by Eric Young there. So Eddie Edwards, he's had enough. He attacks Eric Young. They brawl on the ramp. It's broken up by officials that come out. Impact Executive Vice President Scott D'Amore comes out. He gets shoved down. He takes a bump for Eddie Edwards. We're hyping up the match next week. We're getting a bit of chaos. And that's the segment as we go into this week for the Impact World Championship between Eddie Edwards and Eric Young. Now, who wins this week? Now, previously, and I did a video about this the day after Impact Wrestling, previously I thought it's really possible that Eric Young wins. Now we know after the reports by Fightful last week that that's probably not going to be the case. Fightful last week, of course, released the leaked card or the rumoured card for Bound for Glory in October. And that card, of course, included Eric Young facing off against Rich Swann. And that's according to Fightful Select, their Patreon service. So it looks to me like Eric Young isn't going to win the World Championship tonight on Impact Wrestling. So what does that mean? Do I think that Rich Swann gets involved here? I wouldn't like that. The only way I could see Rich Swann getting involved is if he appears on the screen. I think it's way, way too soon for Rich Swann to get physically involved. Look, he only retired a few weeks ago on Impact, and he was attacked even then. He needs to be selling the injury. He needs to provide some legitimacy to the injury. So I don't think Rich Swann will get involved physically here, but there is obviously a possibility he could appear on screen, appear on camera. I don't think he should show up at the Impact Zone. I would prefer him, like I said, to maybe be on the Titantron or on the screen or something like that. Maybe just play his music. I don't know. I just don't want to see him get physically involved or even physically be there. For me, he needs to sell the attack even longer. So with Eddie Edwards likely winning here, this isn't going to have Eddie Edwards have a short title reign. I would have liked to see Eric Young win the title. I think his run so far has just been that good. And look, usually I'm not a fan of the short title run, but when circumstance dictates and when something gets over and something's hot, I think you have to strike while the iron's hot there. So I would have liked to see Eric Young win the world title, but it looks like that isn't the case. The rumor is that it's going to be Eric Young versus Rich Swann at Bound for Glory, and for the world title, it's going to be Eddie Edwards versus Ken Shamrock. So they've still got to shoot that angle of Ken Shamrock and Eddie Edwards. So that's going to take some time as well. So I don't see Eric Young winning the world title tonight, unfortunately. But like I said, Eric Young recently, he's been phenomenal. He's probably my favourite act in Impact Wrestling right now. He's the top heel in the company. He feels like a big deal now. He's on a massive roll. He's featured on the Bound for Glory advertisements. The video package, they did a video package a few weeks ago with Eric Young showing his evolution in Impact Wrestling throughout the company's history, and that's great. That's absolute great. They're showing the evolution of Eric Young, showing his journey to this point in his career. Everything they've done with Eric Young recently just proves to me that I think he should be the world champion. Obviously, again, they're not going to do that, but if I was in creative there or I was part of the booking committee or whatever it is, I would consider it. I'd absolutely consider it. I'd flow it over and say, what if? What if? Why can't you put the title on Eric Young and then make the match between Eric Young and Rich Swann at Bound for Glory for the world title? Now, does that match need the world title? No. But I think Eric Young's work recently deserves that. He's the top heel in the company. Now, if this was a few weeks later into Eddie Edwards' title reign, again, I would say maybe the title switch. But factor in, it's only been a few weeks since Slammiversary. We know that Eddie Edwards is going to be facing Ken Shamrock at Bound for Glory for the world title. It's just not happening. It's not happening. There's so much buzz around Impact Wrestling right now, and with Slammiversary and the success of Impact Emergence, and then you could have done a world title switch tonight on Impact, but it's just not the case. It's not the case. So somehow tonight they're going to do the finish of Eric Young losing. I just don't know that you can have Eric Young lose clean in this match at the moment. It would do a lot for Eddie Edwards, but what would it do for Eric Young at this point? Now, I know Eric Young, he did do the job clean at Slammiversary. He got beat by Rich Swann. And look at him now, he's even hotter now, so that didn't hurt him. But that was all about the angle after doing the job. I'm just not sure he needs to lose again clean here. So I think we're going to see some form of a screwy finish. I'm not usually a fan of shenanigans in the finish of a match. I think they're overdone, and I think they're a crutch, and I think it's just an example of booking yourself into a corner quite a lot of the time. Possibly Rich Swann, like I said, appears on the screen. You can also have other people get involved. Maybe Willie Mack gets involved, right? He's Rich Swann's best friend. They've spoken about that. Then you can have Willie Mack in a bit of a TV feud with Eric Young as we go into Bound for Glory. Going into the match against Rich Swann, you could do that. You could still do, technically, you could do a short switch, I suppose. You could have Eric Young win tonight, and then in a couple of weeks, Rich Swann does return to the Impact Zone, costs him the world title in a rematch against Eddie Edwards. They could do that. The issue with that is then, how long do you have to have Eddie Edwards build to the Ken Shamrock match at Bound for Glory? You've got 2 short title reigns. Does it weaken the World Championship credibility? All of that. Is it the best idea? It gets a bit too complex for me, that. So I think tonight we're going to have Eddie Edwards win. I don't think it'll be clean. I hope it's not clean because I think they need to protect the Eric Young character. I don't think Rich Swann will physically get involved or physically be there in the Impact Zone. I just think he needs to sell for a bit longer. But I do think there's going to be some form of shenanigans. There has to be, right? There has to be some form of shenanigans. So we'll see that at some point. But of course, as always, this is just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts on tonight's main event on Impact Wrestling for the Impact Wrestling World Championship? Eric Young versus Eddie Edwards. Who's going to walk away with the gold? How would you book it? What are your predictions? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll be sure to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys on this channel. While you're down there, you can take advantage of our support with Manscaped. You can go to manscaped.com, get 20% off and free shipping. All you need to do is use the code 365WRESTLE. If you do so, you'd be helping out Manscaped and this channel, so I would really appreciate that. If you have enjoyed this video, please do be sure to smash a like on the like button. It really does help us out here on YouTube, go up the rankings and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos previously. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to WrestleNews 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now, or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video along with another video for you to watch. You can also follow us on our social media platforms. The handles are on the screen right now. The links are in the description box below. It's at 365Wrestle on Twitter and at WrestleNews 365 on Facebook and Instagram. So be sure to give us a like or a follow there if you haven't already. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. And I'll speak for you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.